Hi everybody, welcome come on in, welcome to our interview here today. We have got the most phenomenal woman. Welcome Mrs. Lynda Du Vallier. Welcome,
Thank you very much.
Lynda is a cancer survivor, and Lynda's a friend of mine. We've known each other for about 18 months now, haven't we, Lynda?
Yes.
And this lady here had just come out of all her treatment when I very first met her. And like, if I was to sum Lynda up in one word, it would be resilient. She oozes resilient, this lady. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown into, I'm just going to introduce her slightly, and then we'll let Lynda take it from there. How she overcome the big C, breast cancer for women, which is just, it's a real thing. So many people are suffering or have suffered, or so many people have lost. In fact, I lost my own mum through breast cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, she died at 62.
Mm.
So Lynda is owner and founder, Mrs. Lynda Du Vallier.
Yes, we got married in November.
Yeah, that's right. I had to say, recently married.
Yes.
Owner and founder of an award-winning cat photography business called Catography. And it is a global business now. Like, she is smashing records everywhere with this. She also, her and her husband, who is a registered vet, own 2 boarding catteries. They own the global business Catography. Lynda is also Justice of the Peace, and she is currently studying to be a marriage celebrant. So there is nothing this woman can't do. And one of your favourite slogans is 9 lives, because she's mad obsessed with cats. We call Lynda the cat lady, because she is mad.
Cat queen.
Cat queen, that's right. Absolutely. Cat queen. She is mad obsessed with cats, but there is more to Lynda's story than most people know. And that's what we're going to delve into today, because she's feeling really ready to share. And the thing with cancer is it impacts so many women, families, so many people. In fact, everybody is touched negatively by cancer in some form or another. And Lynda's story is worth listening to, because she has fought the fight and won the war. So I'm really going to just open it up. Lynda was originally diagnosed in 2007.
17.
Stage 2, weren't you, Lynda?
2017. Yep.
2017, sorry. God, hello. 2017. And I think I'll just hand it over to you. You were such a successful woman. You were making such a difference now in your lives and in so many other people's lives. I really want to know where you came from and why you were so passionate, because you do not stop. Like, you're hard to keep up with, Lynda. Now, like, you really are. So let's start from there then, shall we? Like 2017, over to you.
Yeah, well, 2017, at the beginning of the year, I was feeling a little tired, I suppose. And it wasn't until Easter time, right on Easter time, that actually my now husband found the lump. He's a vet, so he feels lumps, he knows lumps. And he said to me one day, just, baby, you got to get that checked. And I'm like, oh, don't be silly. Like, it's fine. Like, and he goes, no, you need to get this checked. And I'm like, you think so? And I'd only recently bought some new bras, and I thought, oh, they were just uncomfortable and it just wasn't fitting right. So for me, in the back of my mind, I was just brushing it off. And the thing was, why I probably did that unconsciously or consciously, is because I've always been a very fit, active person. And so, you know, I'd always run and walk and bike ride and eat healthy, being vegetarian, never abuse substances. And, you know, for me to even think that I could have cancer was just out of the box, like completely out of the box. However, if I'd thought about it more and I really tuned into what was happening around me, my mother only the year before had passed away of ovarian cancer. And so all of my focus was on pretty much getting through that. And then, you know, how could she have stage 4 ovarian cancer? That was horrendous. And I learned a lot through that. She actually chose not to have treatment. So that hit us hard. And when she passed away, I just got on with life and just dismissed and just wanted to just not even think about it, not even, go there again. And so I really, at the time, said to my then fiance, I said, you know what I should do? I'm only 50. I turned 50 last year. And I said to Mike back then, I said, you know what I should do is I should have a hysterectomy because I've got a couple of other sisters and both of them have been affected in the ovarian side of things. And it should have been just wisdom just to do that. But I didn't actually research enough of the connection between breast cancer and ovarian cancer. I thought that they were completely different. However, studies have proven that they are connected. And if there's a susceptibility, then don't ignore it. And so when I went for, and this is really quite intriguing, I went for the, mammograms and tests and x-rays. The first ones actually came back negative. So I was sent home just before Easter with, no, you're in the all clear. It's just a benign lump. And so I was like, yeah, told you, Mike, told you. And then something just wasn't, I don't even recall why I went for a second opinion, but I did. And maybe that was something sensible that I did. Went for a second opinion. And it wasn't until 3 opinions later that I got the positive that, you've got to look at this seriously. This is cancer. And so that's freaky in itself, because if I had left that, who knows, and this was at stage 2. And back then I actually didn't even know that it was in my lymph node. And so it was a pretty dangerous position to be in and pretty scary if I didn't go with my gut feeling. And I've always been one to go with my gut feeling on anything, because that's your gut and your instinct, or whatever you call it. I mean, I'm a big believer in the Lord. Maybe he was guiding me. Who knows? But it was deep inside of me that I absolutely had to get that checked again. And so if I didn't, who knows, I may not even be here, So it was just I had to wait the Easter long weekend to find out the final results. Got the final results and then went into absolute panic mode, as you do. My whole life is now about to change, and was I actually going to survive? And even when I went to a specialist, and he looked at the lump, felt the lump before the first surgery, he said to me, no, I think you're right. I think it'll be safe. And, went through, had to wait a month, believe it or not, to have the first surgery. And I chose at the time as well to actually have a full mastectomy. He actually recommended that I have a lumpectomy. And I said, well, no, I'm not taking any chances. So once again, that was my gut feeling. After the surgery, with the test results back, I actually, of course, thought, it's all clear, it's all done and dusted now. So I remember Mike and I walking hand in hand. I was literally shaking in the waiting room just to hear those final results. But I remember taking this beautiful surgeon, this really expensive box of chocolates and wine and everything to say thank you, because I thought, this is done and dusted, great. Get in there, and then it's the horrible movie scene. You're sitting in front of the doctor and he says, I've really got some bad news. And I'm like, shit, what is it? And what it was that he said that we have found, I'm glad that you went with your gut feeling to have a mastectomy, because we actually found that there was cancer in your lymph node.
Oh gosh. And
then that's when I'm sitting there like ready to throw up. And I remember crying. And he said that's going to mean chemo, and who knows from there, pretty much.
Wow. That would just be like worst nightmare stuff.
Oh, sickening. Absolutely sickening. And then I remember walking through the corridor, walking out, and Mike was holding my hand and he said, it'll be right, baby. We can do this. We can do this. But you know what? In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, flipping, like, where could this end? And I don't want to go through chemo, and I don't want to lose my hair, and all of those things that you think about, So it was a pretty life-changing moment that day.
And so you obviously went home thought, God, why me? Why me? And then you realised that you had a water fight.
Yeah, that's right.
And so take us through that. Go
Well,
through
I had to wait after surgery, a month after surgery, before I could start chemo. So that was pretty daunting. It gave me enough time to get things in order of, because Mike was a vet and we also breed cats. And so immediately I decided that what I had to do was move all the cats on, all our breeding cats, stop breeding. I had to focus on me.
Yeah.
And that was really hard, like major hard, because we'd put years and years and years into breeding, and particularly, I had import cats and everything, and it wasn't fair on them because I couldn't look after them and neither look after myself, and Mike. And so that month was really trying because the expectation of like the 3rd of July, so I remember the date, the 3rd of July, ready to go in for my first chemo session, and they say to you, are you ready? And I'm like, of course I'm not ready. And it was pretty freaking petrifying. Yeah, petrifying, walking into the cancer care centre and seeing all these people. And the most daunting thing is the statistics are so high for women being diagnosed with breast cancer, and it's just overwhelming. You walk in there and the room of people waiting to be treated, knowing that you're going to be violently sick after you come out of there. It's just mind-boggling how much strength you have to pull from within, that you don't even know what you've got until you're placed in a position that you really have to build up strength and be able to go, I can do this, I can do this. So I think the scariest part was going in each time for those treatments, because it's going to be hell for the next week. And then you go back again.
Do you feel sick straight away, or does it take a couple of days?
I remember the first treatment that I had, and that was so bad in the way that you're in there for about 4.5, 5 hours. And I remember on the way home feeling sick, and we get home, and the worst thing was, because like they say, go home and rest. And so I get into my bed, and the TV that I had in the bedroom, thinking, I'll just, put some stuff on to take my mind off it, that broke, didn't it? Like that died that night. And it was a Thursday night, and I said to Mike, this is not good enough. We've got to go out. Like, we literally ran out to Big W and bought a new TV set straight away. And I remember being there in that place just ready to throw up. So pretty much within a couple of hours you feel quite ill.
So you're hooked up to a drip for 5 hours to pump your body full of whatever they pump it for. Poison to kill the cancer, but it makes you violently ill, doesn't it? Obviously. And how long are you sick for? Well, how long were you sick for the first?
Yeah, it depends on each person's situation is different, of the amount of treatments that you have and how long they're for and what treatment. And so for myself, I had to go in every 3 weeks, and it was every week for the first 10 treatments, and then after that it was every 3 weeks. And so those first 10 treatments are really terrible, because what it is you get affected for say 3-4 days, and then you feel okay for say day 5 and day 6, and then day 7 you're back again ready to go and do the cycle again. So you've literally got about 2 days grace there where you think, okay, life's normal, everything's okay.
For 10 weeks, and then you cut it out to 3 weeks. And did you have to have any is it called radiotherapy?
That was a choice, so highly debatable on that topic. And we were given the choice to go, do I want radiotherapy or not? My cancer was borderline of whether I should be in the section that yes, you do have it, and maybe not. And so numerous conversations about this, because that's really intense. That would have been every day, 5 days a week for I think it was 6 weeks. And Mike, being a veterinarian, also, he actually really encouraged me, or his opinion was it's not necessary. And the reason being as well is that if I'm not in a high risk category there to have radiotherapy, then the other flip side is that there are statistics that if you have radiotherapy in, they say around 10 years time, it can make it actually a real danger zone, that the cancer can come back in the actual area that you've had that radiotherapy, so in the chest wall or something. Mm-hmm. So it pretty much was a decision. Once I'd finished my chemo, it was like, okay, now life is on. Okay, so live every single day as if it's my last, and I mean that, and I do that every day of my life.
Yeah.
However, then I was like, you know what? I need to rise above this, and I need to reinvent myself. And whatever it takes for me to do is to get out there and just ensure that this never happens again. So my decision then as well went on to having a full hysterectomy. So I did that. Then I had the other mastectomy. And so because my cancer was ovarian, it was estrogen receptive, that counts me out for anything once you go into menopause, because cancer brings on menopause early. So I went into early menopause, and the ride has just been her yuck. However, I had to make a decision to overcome the fact or the thought in the back of my mind that, well, maybe if I don't have this radiotherapy, then I'm going to get cancer back, because they give you statistics and you have to have the statistics. But the minute I finished chemo, I started to reinvent myself. And so in many, many ways. But when in March 2018, after I'd finished a few more surgeries and treatments and things, I remember crawling out of bed. I went to a business function, and literally that day I was even crawling out of bed with agony and pain and aches, and just like, I mean with all my heart, I crawled out of bed. And so there was nothing I could do to change that. Not magnesium, nothing. It was because of I couldn't take any estrogen, and that's one of the effects. And also the other side is that they don't tell you, or they didn't really warn me of the side effects of chemo after chemo. And so, in the coming years. So that was pretty daunting. And I found that out the hard way, like having to literally crawl out of bed. And I'm like one of the most energetic people there are. However, there was one day after I went to this business meeting, and I came home the next day, and I said to Mike, okay, I'm going down to the shops. Don't give me a budget. And buy myself some new runners, some new running gear, and I'm just going to start running again. And he said, you can hardly get out of bed. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Next day, got up, and it was a painful jog. I can't say it wasn't. I ran about 6 kilometers, and
oh my God, really?
Yes. But I set myself a goal, and every day I'd increase that. And within about 3 weeks, I was up to 10 kilometers a day. Still to this day, I run 10 kilometers a day, training for a marathon because I can, and why not?
Wow.
It was supposed to be in June, but COVID sort of stuffed that around. So it gives me more time to train.
Wow, Lynda. And in that, you've gone and opened up another category. You only had one. In that time, you've gone and opened another category, and you have created, and it's already award-winning and successful, your photography business. Mm-hmm. You've doubled or tripled the size of your original boarding category.
We've done a lot. We've made a lot of renovations and innovations, and we certainly have increased our percentage of boarders a lot. And we've also put ourselves on the map. So we've rebranded. I mean, the stuff I come up with, the crazy stuff about cats, all sorts of things.
I know, I've seen it, and it's hilarious. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
We dress cats up. We have pamper packages. I do photography sessions all at the cottage. I have online cat shows. You know, the marketing, the branding that I do has now created this unique and wonderful audience of cat people, like-minded people. And, you know, some days, like, I post up constantly all through the day, but some days it's not uncommon to have thousands see a post and respond and have some fun. So it's created a new community of like-minded people, and it's a happy, wonderful place to be, that people look forward to chatting online and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, and no one knows, but we've got quite a few innovations happening at the moment as well. So I really can't wait. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, you know, I think that in a lot of, like, back to that statistic. So 1 in 8 women in Australia in 2015 were diagnosed with breast cancer. And so many women, this affects everybody. And what would be your key takeaway to anyone to any woman actually regarding breast cancer? What would be your key takeaway?
Don't think that you're infallible. Don't think that it's not going to happen to you, because I certainly was thinking that, because I consider myself so healthy, and I didn't even though we'd had it in our family. So, like, don't ignore it. And then all of the promotions and advertisements, like, check. Just, like, don't ignore it. And also the same thing is the gut feeling. If you, like me, like 3 times going, like, I high possibility I might not have been here if I let it go, because if it gets to stage 3 and 4, you know, it's pretty tough. And so the main thing is don't think that you're infallible. And I'm quite tiny as well, and even my breasts were quite tiny, and so of course I thought, well, there's nothing for it to even get, because I was so tiny. So, you know, it is just making sure that you are aware. And also, not even just breast cancer, but ovarian cancer is one of the highest killers, because, you know, that's really hard to diagnose until it is in a later stage. So that's something to consider as well. And I mean, you know, get your pap smears regularly, because look, back then I didn't either. I put it off for an extra 6 months, an extra year, because I'm like, stupid back then. Well,
inconvenient. Yeah, you're just thinking inconvenient, it won't happen to me. And you know what, I've fallen into that myself as well, and I know that so many women have. Hey, so your mental resilience through chemo must have been nothing short of phenomenal. I do not know. I got morning sickness with my boys, pretty crook. And I knew that I only had this amount of time and I'd get out of it. I would hate to think that I was just going to get out of it and then I had to go back in and voluntarily put myself back into something that was going to poison me and make me feel sick like that again. The mental resilience, what did you do?
Well, I've always been a very, very positive person.
Yeah.
So anything negative, I don't like. I don't like hearing negative, and I shut those doors, and I always have done that. However, it was tough, and literally walking in the corridor every time, like knowing you're going there to make yourself feel sick, like not make yourself, but have yourself sick afterwards. It was really, really tough. The number one thing that I did, and other people might not do this, but I'm not a poor me person. And a poor me scenario and poor you, how are you, and all this sort of stuff, to me, that wouldn't have gone down well. And so, like, this is very, very exciting for me to talk about this today, because back then, even the minute that I got cancer or found out that I had cancer, I said to Mike, no one is to know. I don't deal with it that way. For me, that won't work, because I need to do this with every bit of strength that I have in me. And if I get, you know, I mean, I know that there's people put that out on Facebook and all sorts of stuff, like that was, it was just a pretense. It was like a game that I had to play with myself to keep my positivity and make sure that no one brought me down, because another person may need that support of other family and friends around them, I had a very small group that I told, and a few family, and I do even remember saying to Mike, getting a bit upset because he told a couple of family members that I didn't want to know. I just wanted to fly through it and just get it over and done with. And, you know, that served me, because even when 3 weeks after you start your first chemo and your hair falls out, I had went and purchased the most expensive, beautiful wigs so that no one would know. And not one time did I step out in public without those wigs. And, you know, and it does happen. I mean, it does happen. There was one time that I had someone come to my home just to purchase something from Marketplace, and I did forget, and I had my scarf on because I was home alone. And literally the lady got out of the car and she looked at me. She's coming for a bit of furniture, and she looked at me and she goes, "Oh, you poor thing. Oh, my such and such went through this." And immediately I just felt like thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, imagine having that every time you step out of the house, and someone looking at you, someone feeling sorry for you. And, you know, even the words of like, "you poor thing, how are you going?" all that doesn't work for me. And so I literally had to cut out anything like that to make me susceptible to, because that would be negative for me. So that was number one thing that I did.
Protected your circle of influence. It is so important.
So important. And that was a massive thing, you know, because I also show cats quite successfully, and we love them.
You do. Look at all those prizes behind you.
Yeah, actually, that's true. That's theirs. That's my cat's trophies.
Yeah, and that's only some of them. I've seen.
Yeah, that is. And the thing is as well, I remember going through, and even if it was like the cat show was the next day after chemo, do you know what? I did not miss one single cat show the entire year. There was times there that I'd like run to the toilet and feel like I'd throw up, but I had to just keep on going as if every single thing was normal. And there wasn't anything that I was going to have ruin that for me, because I needed to get out. I need to be with my cats, my friends and stuff like that. And I thought, so not one single meeting, not one single anything did I miss, you know, which I still to this day think that was pretty good, because there were times
pretty amazing.
I didn't even want to get out of bed, let alone at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to a cat show. But I had to keep up the appearance, and it wasn't even just the appearance, it was for me, because I had to keep my what encouraged me, because, you know, you've got to find out what you're good at and what you love. And when you find out what you're good at and when you love, that works. And for me, if I had cut out one of the most exciting things that I love doing is bathing the cats, showing them, winning prizes, all that sort of stuff. If I cut that out, that would have been like a really downer, like even worse. You know, so I wanted to maintain that, you know, a sense of normality is probably what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, it obviously worked for you, because when did you get the okay, like the clear that everything was fine?
Well, there still never is.
Yeah.
Okay. However, once I had the surgery, and also then now I've had reconstruction, so I've actually had 5 surgeries. But we're finished.
Yay.
And the okay is pretty much like you have blood test and x-rays and things, and everything's clear, everything's great. So that doesn't happen really until about 2 years after. And really, it's just making sure that I keep on doing what I'm doing right, and pray to the Lord that nothing ever changes from there. So
when we met in April 2019. You flew over to a business seminar.
2018.
Was it? 2018.
Was it? No, 19, you're right.
2019. So in April 2019, we met. You flew to Perth. You were still pretty crook. You had these beautiful long braids in your hair, something like I did when I was 19. I went and got them done in Africa. Hair extension braids. They were phenomenal. You're this elegant lady with your hair pulled right up on top of your head. To lose your hair must have been something really, you know, it must have been horrible, because you're such a glamour puss, like you really are. I know you quite well, and you're always glamorous. Red, lipstick, hair, makeup, the full deal. So to lose your hair must have been, and I saw you there and you just sort of let it out to the rest of us, but you were still sick, weren't you?
That business conference in Perth, I was told initially when I had my surgery that I would not be able to fly for about 6 weeks at all. So that was 3 weeks after surgery. And I had done so well that I asked the surgeon, I said, oh, I've got like this business thing over in Perth, and do you think that I could go? And he said to me, as long as you can get someone to carry your bags, yeah. And then I'm like, straight away, I booked the flight when I got home. And so that was really quite exciting because, of course, I got help. You know, that went down well. The other thing was, you talk about the hair. Do you know what, Sally? The biggest thing for me, even as hard as the chemo was and all of that stuff and the fear, the biggest thing for me was losing my hair. It is one of the most horrifying things, or was for me. I'm not sure other women, but you're right. I love to dress up. I love to look nice, and I really did like my hair, you know, and to lose your hair, it was almost demoralizing. It was like, this is not right. This is not fair. This is not me. And then how long it takes to grow back. Oh my gosh. And so after the chemo finished, and, you know, we're talking maybe a month, 6 weeks after, and your hair starts to think about growing back, I think my hair was like maybe about that. And I still...
And what can you do with that?
Well, I just kept on still wearing wigs. Or hair pieces. Even by then, I'd put in half hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we were actually at church in January of that year, and there was this lady 2 rows down from me, and African, beautiful lady with braids, and I'm like, that's it, Mike, that's it. So I went up to her afterwards and I said to her, can I have your hairdresser's name and where do you get those braids done? So that Tuesday, I was out there and got the braids done. And you know what? It served me so well because I didn't have to think about covering my hair up every day, because it was just there, and it was pretending to have long hair. And it was a funky look for a while.
Absolutely. It was really friggin' cool. I thought, this is one cool chick. And then afterwards we were after the seminar, then I really got to meet you properly, and then you told me why you had the braids, because I couldn't help but comment, because I'd had them, and they're friggin' cool. So, you know, just thinking about that, you with your resilience and you with your pivoting, so that in there is the best way. You know, you improvise, adapt, and overcome. You get knocked down, you think of a way to pivot, and then you rise above. And so you can do it in any aspect of your life, and you have. So you haven't, not only, like you had, well, you do have a choice. When I was going to say you've got no choice because you were going through chemo, but you do have a choice. You could have told everybody and done the poor me and laid in bed, and you wouldn't be here, this bright, zesty, sparky young woman that's just got married and that has an enormous, bright and amazing future ahead of you, making such a difference to so many people. You could have just laid down and died. Everything's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah, everything is a choice. That's right. Yeah. And you know, from that as well, I mean, my focus now, is as well, with all of my branding and all the stuff that I do with businesses and stuff, is to make sure you live every day as if it's your last. So everything that I do in that, and what I have now evolved in this stage of my life, last year I started a global coaching and speaking authority course. So to become a professional speaker, I've done numerous courses in the coaching and the speaking realm. I've been asked to speak in a couple of occasions, and well, hence as well, I mean, I want to declare to the world, life is worth living, it's exciting, and really live every single day, because you really just never know. You never know what can happen tomorrow or today. So don't waste one moment or minute of your day. make sure that you get up in the morning, get up early if you're an early bird, because I am, go running, but set your day up and make sure that you don't waste that day, because who knows what's around the corner. And I'm sure we've all had people and friends, family in our world that it's been cut short, and that's a realization. But for me, I have to make every day count. And that's why I went and I've started on this global coaching and speaking authority, because I want to be able to, with passion, speak to the world. Don't waste every minute. I mean, you know, my little tongue-in-cheek thing about like 9 lives, that's because it's cats, like, right? So, but it is about making sure that you don't waste today. And that's why, you know, I've went and became a justice of the peace, because I want to meet people and put a smile on their face. And like, it's just a helping thing for the community. It's nothing huge that's going to be life-changing. But that took me on to being able to want to become a marriage celebrant, because what better way to be able to bring joy into people than conducting an amazing, beautiful ceremony that you're part of, bringing joy, a smile on your face, being presentable to people. You know, I mean, that's just wonderful. And I've already now been asked to do my first commitment, my first renewal of vows ceremony, and I haven't even finished yet. So, and it is really exciting. And, you know, the list goes on of what I want to do and what I am doing. And yeah, some crazy things that I'm inventing and coming up with, but I can't take it for granted because my life could have been cut short, very short. You know, heaven forbid, at 47, 48 would be just, it's way too quick. So I plan on living the next 50 years plus, and it's going to be the freaking best 50 years and most influential of my life. And it's almost like I have to make up lost time now. So I'm running with everything that I've got in me.
Just quickly before we wrap up, but do you think you would be running now as hard as you are if you had not have gone through that yet? So no. It didn't happen to you, it happened for you. It was a little reminder, and that's your message to the world now, is to remind people, don't waste your life. This is our one time. We don't know if we come back or not, do we?
Mm-hmm. No,
we don't know. So we might as well do everything in our power to enjoy everything we've got here now.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. I wouldn't be running as hard as I am now. And even though I'll sum up by saying that cancer sucks, it's the worst thing that I've ever had to fight through. However, I have to say this is actually the best thing that happened to me, because I am now a new woman, a different person, because I run so hard and I want to help so many people. And I mean that genuinely with all of my heart. And you know what? Some people might love me, not like me, but it doesn't matter to me. I rise above it, and I have a bigger mindset than all of that. And I just really want to make sure that every single day is run as hard as I can possibly do.
Lynda, you are an amazing woman, and what you've been through and what you've achieved so far and what you're going to achieve is truly phenomenal. I'm so blessed to call you a friend, a good friend of mine. Thank you so much for coming in today. I know you would have inspired so many women with our chat today. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.